game. And right from the get-go, Lifecoach is going to be our top player. And FeelsGoodMan, man, that feels really bad as Venomancer gets absolutely sniped on the flop.
Yeah, and if we want to just go into some of Veno's passive ability, if you mouse over that there, Venomous Nature, that's going to summon a Plague Ward into Venomancer's lane each deployment phase. So since Veno is going to die, he's not going to be able to do that, but that Veno Plague Ward is going to be a 1/3 unit that does 2 piercing damage to any of its neighbors.
Yeah, hopefully throughout the game, Veno will survive, and we'll just actually see the Plague Ward in action. So you can see that I pulled up the ability to look at both players' deck. So anytime that you guys want to look at any card, just let me know, and I'll hover over them and give you guys the ability to see them.
Yeah, now that we're in our first game, I think it'd be good to zoom out too to show everyone the board. As you can see, 3 lanes, and these are the flop heroes that both our players have chosen.
So is this Janata right? Gonna proc. Here we go. This
50%.
is
Oh, there it is.
That's a proc, and that's going to be the easy track that's going to get casted. Plus 10 bounty. So, like I said, it's not uncommon for a bounty hunter deck to end with an absurd amount of gold at end turn 1. So when he gets the kill, Lifecoach will have 20 gold.
Look at that.
That's
gold
a
just
lot of gold.
Yep, that's almost enough already to buy that Horn of the Alpha.
And this is the shopping phase now. We're currently seeing FeelsGoodMan's perspective of the shop.
Yep.
But Lifecoach is also seeing his own version of the shop, and he's looking for buying those early items that he put into his deck, and then hopefully getting that Horn of Alpha out early.
Yeah, so at 20 gold, I think it's a very interesting decision whether you spend a majority of that money or you just spend very few of it and just save for that Horn.
Save for the Horn.
The Horn is the win condition of the deck. So we'll see what Lifecoach ends up doing.
FeelsGoodMan is now in the hero deployment stage, and you can see Lifecoach is choosing to put his Magnus in the mid lane, and FeelsGoodMan wants to put that Prelix in the first lane.
This is a very risky Prelix
Very
deployment.
risky Prelix.
50-50 into Mazzy with no answer.
There
it is right into
rough.
Mazzy.
Not
Well,
lucky.
I mean, you couldn't put it in the last lane either, right, for FeelsGoodMan, because that would have been a 100% bounty kill as well. So it's a tough situation here for FeelsGoodMan, and that's, I think, kind of what you were getting at, Swim, earlier. The heroes are just super weak.
Yes.
And if you fall behind like this, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and I mean, Prelix and Venomancer are ridiculously strong if they don't get killed, but they provide no value if they just die over and over again, and that looks like it's gearing up to kind of be the pace of this game.
Okay.
Lifecoach already has 26 gold, which is enough for him to buy a Horn of the Alpha if he sees it in his shop the next turn.
He has the other track here as well.
Oh, this is looking really bad here.
So it feels bad, man.
Yeah, it feels bad, man. All right, here comes the track. Now, with the Aghanim Sanctum, which basically will refresh your 4 mana here, you could technically cast 2 spells. You could go Tyler Estate, which now shrinks one of Lifecoach's mana, and then now refreshes to cast a different spell. Let's see if there's any good gank targets. Not particularly, right? So maybe you could cast a Slay. This is not looking like a powerful turn for FeelsGoodMan.
No. Although it would be great to go into that improvement a little bit too. Where did that come from?
That came from the first lane when there was Prelix there. Prelix, a blue hero, so you cast blue improvements, but you don't have to cast in the same lane they're in. You could kind of play it downstream as a keyword, as we call it. So he played it downstream, and now he will gank. So
takes out the bounty in the last lane, but gank is a cross lane card. So Sorla's going to die anyways to the Magnus, so he figures he may as well take down a hero.
Yeah, it's really noteworthy. When you kill a hero before it has the opportunity to react, either with initiative or from an earlier lane, you lock him out of the mana. Like, Lifecoach cannot spend this 4 mana because he has no heroes there.
Yeah, well, he could spend his 43 gold. Let me tell you that. He's got money. And look at that.
He's already buying things.
Is he going to find the horn is the question.
There he is. It's already there.
It's there. It's there. And I wonder which lane he's going to actually throw it into. Ooh, I like this. You put the Darkset in the first lane, which allows you to surge the Mazzy to wherever you need it to go. So.
Yep, and Surge is Darkseer's active ability. If you see it on his card there, it's a 2 turn cooldown, so he's able to move that Mazzy to another lane, and then 2 turns later he can also move another unit.
I think an interesting play here for Lifecoach is to equip that Horn of the Alpha onto Mazzy, activate it here, get a big beast, and then you surge it to a different lane. And then you could cast that Horn of the Alpha active again later on as well. So we'll see what he ends up doing.
Our FeelsGoodMan does have Slay in hand.
Okay.
So once that Horn of the Alpha comes out, and let's talk about what Horn of the Alpha does, because I don't think we've even gone over that.
Horn of the Alpha.
So Horn of the Alpha, great card. 4 health to a equipped hero, but it has an active where every 2 turns you can summon a Thunderhide pack, which is a 14/14 beefy beast.
Yeah, with Siege.
With Siege.
Yeah.
Siege basically only procs when there is a unit directly in front of the card or creep, and it does building damage regardless.
Yeah, so it's either going to hit you for 14
Or 6.
which is either case is like pretty bad for you. So looks like we have a lot of item equipments kind of trading back and forth. And here comes that big horn.
There it is.
One of the sweetest animation, I have to say, when it gets activated. We'll see if he activates it here.
May as well.
And I think it's exactly as you said, Lumi. I think that Surge is going to be pushing Mazzy to the right lane. If not now, then at least a little bit
later, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can see since the Thunderhide pack was blocked, he does that 6 siege damage instead and takes out that Satyr.
Yeah. Right here, I think we could see some of the issues of having a 3-color deck. You can see that there's a lot of mana available to FeelsGoodMan, right? Like, he has Sanctum available, but just not having the right color at the right lanes. And this is a downfall of the 3-color deck if you're just not having the right heroes at the right time.
And specifically the Black Splash as well. You mentioned Slay as a great counter to Thunderhide, and it is, but you only have 1 black hero, so you have only 1 lane to cast it on, which means that the Sorla will pretty much have to deploy left to counter the first Thunderhide, but Darkseer will just be able to move and play it on a different lane where it can't be answered.
A good kind of saving grace here right now for FeelsGoodMan is that he's got an uncontested final lane with the Venomancer here. So we are going to see them Bananamancer wards.
Bananas will start coming each turn as long as Veno's alive.
Yeah. They're not actually called bananas, but we like to colloquially refer them to as bananas.
We see the Skywrath active being floated there and deciding to save it for a later turn. Pretty interesting decision.
Yeah.
So right now, who would you say is winning each lane?
Right now, Lifecoach is winning
all 3 lanes. I think he's winning all 3 lanes.
Well,
with the surge ability in mind, right?
Yeah, with the surge ability in mind, he will be flipping over to the right lane and winning that.
Yeah.
But at this point in time, FeelsGoodMan has control over the right lane.
It's a very slow lane, though. Veno's a pretty low attack hero, and there's only creeps, which are coming in for that chip damage. So Lifecoach is not too worried about defending that.
Yeah. So as Fosh mentioned earlier, the Venomancer venomous nature summons Plague Wards. So this Plague Ward is now added to the deployment phase.
And you can see the 2 random creeps that Lifecoach was mentioning earlier in our hot tips. Those are randomly deployed at the beginning of each round. So you can see they're going to the mid lane and the right lane in this case. And they randomly get put into those spaces there.
What has been the life expectancy of FeelsGoodMan's hero? Because I feel like they just come out and they
One
just
turn.
Well,
Look at these
These
heroes.
are amazing spawns for FeelsGoodMan, though, because the Slay is committed to the Thunderhide pack, which means Prelix will actually be surviving here.
Yes.
For now.
And he has initiative, which means he goes first. So Lifecoach won't be able to react even though he sees a black hero here, and he's able to see that FeelsGoodMan has 2 slays.
Right. So it seems like a very kind of self-explanatory slay. You just do it, but he might be thinking, "Oh, can I actually squeeze in a Salamania's favor here, and then slay afterwards?" We'll see.
Yeah, and if you're kind of looking at the damage numbers, right now Darkseer only has 5 attack against Sorlakan, but Sorla is taking the additional lethal damage from the Empower on Mazzy right now.
Right. So I know we talked about earlier surging the Mazzy. I think you actually surge
The Alpha.
Alpha. Now, obviously, we could see FeelsGoodMan's hand and be like, "Oh yeah, you surge him away."
There
it is.
Even though Lifecoach doesn't know exactly what's in FeelsGoodMan's hand, he understands that there's only 1 black hero on the other side. So Slay could only be casted in this lane. So putting him in a different lane makes him absolutely safe.
Yep. And of course, this Sorla is going to be disappearing from the board again, locking FeelsGoodMan out of Slay for 2 more turns.
Oh, the tracks are coming down.
Yep.
I think Lifecoach is actually out of item on his item deck.
He's going to be looking in the secret shop now.
Yeah. You could track again.
That's true.
I won't be leaving the field anytime soon.
Man, Lifecoach just has a completely dominating presence in this game.
I mean, that's kind of what I said earlier about this deck, right? Either wins on turn 5, or it's going to win on like turn 10.
Yeah.
And this is the turn 5 draw. So, all right, double track. That's about 30 more gold coming in Lifecoach's way.
Yeah, and he's not going to have anything to do with it either. He'll have to see something expensive in the secret shop.
Yeah, maybe he'll find another Horn of the Alpha. Who knows?
We do have Prelix staying alive at least for now. She does have that ability to summon a melee creep into her lane at each deployment phase. So earlier when we saw those 2 creeps going to the mid and right, she's also going to bring an extra creep to the pool.
Yeah, the really cool thing I like about FeelsGoodMan's deck is that if you get that early snowball going, you could really run away with the game. Because your Venomancer summon these Plague Wards, your Prelix summons more melee creep, and you just kind of overwhelm your opponent. But the way that the flop has occurred, a lot of these blue heroes just straight up died. So that's really unfortunate.
So that was an interesting card FeelsGoodMan played there. Let's go over what lock is.
Yeah, so the last card play was Lost in Time. And you randomly lock 3 cards in your opponent's hand with +3 lock. So lock now means this card that's locked, as gray art symbolized, you can't actually play this card for 3 more turns. Yeah. So you could kind of think about, oh, we discarded 3 cards from their hand. But obviously, eventually, if the game goes long enough, Lifecoach will have access to these cards again.
That's right. And looks like that Surge brought the Thunderhide Alpha over here to the mid lane and put it right 50-50 in front of the Skywrath. It had a chance to go in front of that 1/1 Veno ward instead, but Thunderhide Alpha looking pretty hungry, thirsty for blood today.
Thunderhide takes no prisoner. He is he's just killing stuff.
Yeah.
So earlier we saw Iron Shell being casted on a creep. So you don't actually have to, like some cards says modify a unit would retaliate instead of modify a hero. So you don't get a permanent effect because once that creep dies, it's just gone forever.
Yep.
But in that case, it traded for it actually was able to kill a creep. So a good use of Lifecoach's resources.
Yeah, and going over that keyword too, modify means it's permanent. So you can see that creep in the mid lane still has an Ion Shell.
Yeah, for example,
until he dies.
We saw a modification earlier on Mazzy. So this was modified with Empower, which gives it +3 attack and +3 cleave. And the importance of the keyword modify is that, let's say Mazzy dies, he goes to the fountain for 1 turn, and he'll come back with this ability still intact. So you're not kind of wasting your mana or card when you cast it on a hero.
That's
so
right.
The problem for FeelsGoodMan here is that that Horn of the Alpha is up again, which means another 14-14 Dino is slamming the board. And if you look in the upper left corner, you can see that the 3 heroes FeelsGoodMan has that died last turn are still in Fountain.
Yeah.
So he is 3 heroes short here. It's a 2v5.
Okay, well, at least Prelix survives yet another turn.
That's right.
And she could generate even more with Bringer of the Faithful.
Yeah, FeelsGoodMan is putting a lot of creeps in this lane, and on top of that, with Prelix bringing an extra one here, he's hoping that he can at least chip in some damage. But that Thunderhide Alpha is going to be doing 6 siege each turn, even though it's blocked.
Yeah. This game looks pretty bad for FeelsGoodMan, but honestly not nearly as bad as... Okay, well, now with your blue hero dying, then it's a different story.
Yep.
Because I was going to say, yes, FeelsGoodMan is losing this mid tower for sure. But he's also doing okay in the final lane. So there is a scenario where FeelsGoodMan maybe could contest the first lane and eventually eke out a win. But now with Prelix dying, it's looking really rough.
Yeah, and FeelsGoodMan's hand right now is just not looking great for in terms of the creeps or like the answers he has to other units. So right now, you see that Lifecoach has all his heroes alive. So he has nothing coming out for the next deployment. But in the Fountain, FeelsGoodMan has 3 heroes coming back with those little check marks. That means he'll be able to choose which lanes those 3 heroes will go into.
Yep, it looks like Lifecoach will take a hero back. I also want to briefly talk about some of the arrows that we've been seeing. Now, units always attack straight and will hit the building, but you can see that this Thunderhide is now had an arrow angling to the right. As you're casting creeps and as the turn begins, these arrows get deployed into the lane and kind of directs where your units attack. So there's that a little bit of RNG element in the game, and I think after this deployment phase, we'll see what I mean with the arrows a bit more.
So you'll see here, Plague Ward going into the last lane because of Veno, and then the 2 random melee creeps.
Yep.
FeelsGoodMan is choosing to defend that first lane with all he's got. So he puts all 3 heroes in that first lane. And Lifecoach also, since he TP'd his Magnus that previous turn, he gets to deploy it right away.
Yep.
So he brought it over from the mid lane and is now immediately able to put it in the first lane too to be another contender.
Yep, you've pretty much got to fight for this left lane right now if you're FeelsGoodMan. I think this time you've learned your lesson. You're not going to be greedy with your Slay. You got to drop it. Turn 1 to kill the Thunderhide. Stop it from killing your Sorla and dealing siege damage to your tower.
Yep.
A pretty great draw here. Tower Barrage is going to be able to take down this tree, which deals 2 damage to each enemy. Also takes down this creep, and allows him to start, having some resemblance of offense. Because I think right now FeelsGoodMan is just looking to survive.
Yep.
But he needs to think about how he could win the game as well.
Currently, his tower is taking 17 damage from everything on the board.
Yeah.
And by the way, there's no limit to the number of units you can have on either side of the
Yes.
board. Currently, it's just right, but if there are more units, you can go left or right on that lane. But yeah, FeelsGoodMan is thinking about what to do, and he's going to pass.
Whoa.
He passed.
Not sure about that. Did he run out of time, perhaps?
Oh, that could be it. He's just going to concede.
Yeah.
Well,
I think
quick game.
FeelsGoodMan could have fought the good fight and survived maybe a turn or two
Yeah.
more, but it really wasn't looking good
No.
in the long term. I
Yeah.
also didn't see what he had in the